We're going to resume our project here. We just completed the steps above this point. So basically all the way through page 123 with the exception of this little tidbit. While we've been taking a break here, I went ahead and created a version of the work. So I have a safe copy up until this point. And let's get started. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create a checkout view. And it says it's pretty simple, just needed to display the order ID. And that is very simple, rather than kind of repeating all the information. Right-click on the complete controller action and add a view named complete. It does need to be strongly typed. We've been working on the checkout controller. And so we are going to be going to the method called complete. We're going to add a view. They do want it to be strongly typed. And if you look at what they're typing here, int. Yeah, so yeah, there is nothing called that. So really what we're doing, what they're telling you, is we're creating a piece of information, a variable that's of type integer. Okay. Isn't that clever? Who would have thunk it? All right. So go ahead and click add. And then we do have a model now that we've created called int. Who would have thunk it, right? We're just going to tweak some of the text here. We're going to say checkout complete. And I guess you can add that here as well. And then just a little bit of HTML here. And a little bit of Razor code to go with it. Want to format your document, you can do that. Not that it really changed much. But there it is. All right, save it. Next thing that they want us to do is update what they call the error view. So it says the default template includes an error view in the shared views folder so it can be reused everywhere in the site. It only contains very simple code, so we're going to update it. So that's going to be down in the views, in the shared folder, and there it is. This is automatically generated when we create the project. So that has a mechanism that automatically, if there's something that goes wrong, it throws up this. So we're going to tweak this code here to match the code that we're seeing. Now notice at the top, they're saying layout equals null. We're going to get rid of that. We're basically going to replace, yeah. And I believe that's what they want us to do. Let's. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of all that. And I'm just going to replace it with this. Yeah, sometimes the copy pastes don't work too well, do they? Yeah, that is a yuck. But you know what? This is where you go Control A, format document, and it cleans it up. And it still doesn't look all that great, but you know what? It's a simple document. It doesn't really matter too much. I mean, if you really want to make it look like all the other pages, you could, use the same format if you want to go to that kind of trouble. If you're uncomfortable with imperfection. I won't use any adjectives to go with that, but I think you know the ones I'm probably intending. Remember, computers don't care what the code looks like. If it's written right, it works. Another interesting thing here is you notice the this little URL, and I don't know if you've ever learned this technique in your JavaScript coding. Notice like the link that they're putting in. A little bit of JavaScript. What do you suppose this does? Yeah, JavaScript, history, go, -1. Back to the last page. Isn't that cool? And all right, let's go to our next set of instructions here. Well, that was an easy page because there's hardly anything on it. So we're on section 10. I think this is the very last section, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so it says final updates to navigation and site design. So we got all the basic functionality of the site, but we still have some features to add to the site, like the home page, the store browse page. Because the menus that we have right now are really pretty simplistic. And you guys are probably wondering, well, that application launches and we end up on a blank page, right? And you can do whatever you want with that home page. That's what's kind of fun about it. So let's go ahead and create this next little bit. It says create the shopping cart summary partial view. So this will allow us to basically look at the status of our cart within other pages, and you see what was happening up in the menu bar there. All right. So we're going to create a partial view, and that's going to be added to our site master. Okay, so that's kind of the goal here. It says, as shown previously, the shopping cart controller includes a cart summary action method which returns a partial view. So let's go to the shopping cart controller. Maybe we can even find it. All right, and we are looking for which one? Cart summary. Right here at the bottom. And we're just making sure that it looks the same. So to create the partial view, we want to right-click inside here, and we're going to add a view, and notice the little checkbox here for partial. That's what we're going to do. Notice that we're not going to create a strongly typed view. I'm going to match up with what we're seeing. So cart summary, razor, partial view, and then click add. Now the partial view is empty. I don't think it's supposed to be. So I might want to adjust this. Okay, I didn't mean to click on that. Yeah, well, if you don't need to use a strongly typed view, so you uncheck that. See right here?
Oh, okay. So they just have it in.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to grab this code and drop it into this partial view. Save it. Now we can add the partial view, it says, in any page in the site, including the site master, by using the HTML render action method. So this is going to be a method. May as well just copy it now.
And that's a template, right?
All right, so this is what we're gonna use. And it says before adding this to the site layout, we'll also create the menu so we can make all of our site master updates at one time. So in other words, we know we're going to update the site master and we're going to add this to it. But first we're going to do this. We're going to create this kind of like partial view of the side menu, and then we're going to add both side menus or both partial views at the same time. Get it? I hope you do. That's okay. If not, just follow along. Copy, paste, copy, paste. All right. We're going to use the same steps. Do you guys remember the steps, or did you forget them already? Um, okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to put this code in the store controller because we can't generate a partial view. All right, so I'm going to copy that. We go to the store controller. It said store controller, not shopping cart. Store controller. And we're going to add this to the bottom right here. And let's save it. So what this is going to do, and this is kind of neat to think about, is it's going to automatically, without us manually typing in all the stuff, it just goes to the models and it looks at what the categories are and generates the menu structure from that. That's pretty cool. You know, it's a nice little shortcut thing. There's also this little attribute that we're throwing in, and he's making note here. It says the attribute indicates that we only want this action to be used from a partial view. So it's a child action only. So it's not going to happen otherwise. It says it's not required, and I guess, you know, I don't think of it as being a required thing myself, but apparently it's good practice. So now, did we make a genre menu controller? Well, it's right here. Right click, add a view, and let's copy the settings. Strongly typed to genre, right? We're going to have a list, and we're going to create a partial view. So those are our settings. Strongly typed, genre, we want it as a list, and we want a partial view. Go ahead and click add, and this is our output. It says update the view code for the partial view to display items using an unordered list as follows. So right now, the stuff that's in here, you know, it's choosing all a different approach. It's basically kind of putting stuff in a table. All right, the table is fine, but that's not what we want in this situation. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace all the table code and we're just going to put in this unordered list. We don't need it to do that other stuff. But if you notice, because it was strongly typed, it also had a little create thing in there. So like we could add another category. We certainly don't want users doing that. So copy just this code, unordered list, paste it in. And of course, I also grabbed all this stuff in between. Let me do that again. That's like a I should know better kind of thing. Let's go ahead and format it as well. That's good enough for me. It's not the prettiest thing, but it seems to all be valid. All right, now we're going to go and we're going to change the site layout. So this isn't a master page by name, but it's acting as a master page. And you're going to see that that's in that shared folder too. And this is views, shared, layout. And there's a bunch of content in here already, and we're going to very carefully make adjustments. So we have these pre-generated script files. Those we will leave alone. Notice the inclusion of the modernizer. So, by the time this came out, it was well before HTML5 when they were working with old browsers. And now the Visual Studio Engine is throwing that in automatically because some of this stuff might cause problems if you're not using Internet Explorer. So this kind of helps it to make basically Internet Explorer behave itself. All right, so let's take a look at the code that's in between here. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove all the stuff between the body tags, and then I'm going to copy out of the book from those same locations. Yeah, this is an underscore layout CS HTML. Let's go ahead and format that. So far, so good. Looks like it's all working. All right, now we should be able to run the application and see those partial views added. And I guess I just kind of pasted it in and kind of ignored that we were actually doing that. But notice that it says here HTML render action, cart summary, and shopping cart. And where is it putting that? Nav list. So nav list is something that they already have styled, right? And that's because it's an unordered list and it should be bullets, right? But they have it CSS, so it just lays across. So they already have that layout done. So they have the cart summary, that's going to go up at the top. And then on the left-hand side, this is going to happen here. So it's kind of in between the navigation and the other sections. Now, if you're wondering why is there no like HTML tag surrounding this, that's when you go back here and you take a look. Well, that's a little odd. All right, got Visual Studio to choke up there. Because this has its own HTML tags in the partial view. That's why there's no HTML tags surrounding it in the layout, right? Doesn't mean there's no HTML tags. This is bringing the HTML tags with it, okay? The cart summary one, if you look at that, that doesn't have any HTML tags with it. It's just pulling in the information. Because that is a question I've gotten in the past. All right. And let's go ahead and run it. Let's see what happens. All right. Pretty cool. All right, so now we have our menus on the side. We have an expanded menu up top that is dynamically pulling in the shopping cart contents. And the categories here, which before were not present. This is a partial view. That's a partial view. If you guys are trying to make that equivalent with PHP, those would be like includes. The more fascinating part about it, though, is we're generating the content for those dynamically instead of it being statically coded. All right, go ahead, close the page, go back, and close the application or stop the application from running. All right, so now we're also going to do a couple more changes here. We're going to update the store browse page. So we're going to go to Views, Store, Browse, CS, HTML. Make a couple of tweaks here as well. And I'm just trying to find like the easiest way to do this. I think that basically, You know, I'm going to basically remove and replace everything below that first statement up top. It'd be easier than trying to do it incrementally. Once again, we got some really messy looking code here. Save your work. All right. Now they're pointing out a couple of new razor tags here, and maybe you guys have used these, maybe not. They're using URL action here in place of what we were doing before. And the reason for that is so that we can use different type of formatting. In other words, the way the CSS applies to it is a little bit differently. So that's one of the reasons we're doing that. It says here that they're displaying generic album cover for these albums. But if you were writing a real application, you might build it initially like this and then eventually probably hire some newbie programmer to take all the images and put them into the database so that they could pull in correctly. Or if they're being pulled in from URLs, they'll probably be stored in folders and we're just linking to all of them. And once again, all of it will be done dynamically. Now, we haven't done this in a bit, but I think we did a little bit of adjustment to stuff. I'm going to do a clean and build just for sake of mind here. So I'm doing a clean and a build. No problems, which is good. Now it says we should be able to browse to a genre and we'll see the albums shown in a grid with the album artwork. And that's all happening because of this here. So the way that this code is doing the for each and it's looping through. Let's go ahead and try that. Once again, crossing our fingers that it works. So pick a category. Looks pretty good. Stop your application. Close your tab. All right, that's what it's supposed to look like. And I'm assuming that everybody's looked like that. Didn't hear any mumblings or grumblings from the room, so. Okay. All right, I'm just reading this little tidbit here. Sorry for the inappropriate pause. It says, we want to feature our top-selling albums on the home page to increase sales. We'll make some updates to our home controller to handle that, and then we'll throw in some additional graphics. It says, first we're going to add a navigation property to our album class so the entity framework knows that they're associated. So let's go to the album class. And it says the last few lines of our album class should now look like this. We're really only adding the line that's highlighted. And you can see we have an array list here with the order details. And it's just going to allow that connection to happen. Save that. Now this is a model, right? Clean. Build. Because otherwise that connection won't form. It says this will add a using statement and just verify that it's there. System collections generic. It might have been there before, I'm not sure, but just double check that it is. Yeah, this is the album model. Okay, just make sure that that line is present. Okay. All right, apparently we're going to be adding some stuff here to our controllers. And this is going to need to go to the home controller, right? Remember, they told us that in the previous step. So find your home controller. And then we're going to drop in this bit of code, which is going to be responsible for pulling in whatever we think is the top selling records. And I don't know about you guys, but I am getting underlines. Okay. So we have some little bit of something going on. I'm going to once again do a clean and build. You see the clean took care of it? Yeah, it always does. And then build. Right, now you guys are right. Right. It says the type or namespace album cannot be found. So what do you think we might want to do here? Yeah, because we don't have our models connected. Because up until this point, we haven't been doing that on our home page, have we? So that does need to be present up there to forge that connection. Once again, let's do a clean. Let's do a build. All right, now we have another issue like that. And once again, I'm trying to leverage the built-in tools to be able to make it happen, right? And this error message says, StoreDB does not exist in the current context. So I'm trying to do my right click, escape, but it doesn't give me a pop-up box to fix it. I mean, we're missing some sort of a connection, right? The question is, what did we do in other situations to make it be in context? We did that previously. Do you guys remember where we did? Okay. Okay. So how do we fix it then? Check with the controller. Point me in the right spot here, Carl. Okay. No, we don't need the free. Really, we want to get them to pay so we can have a job. And I'm going to go back. And this is a step that's not listed there, and I actually find it a little perplexing as to why, honestly. And I'm hoping that it fixes it. Let's clean. Let's build. And success. Now, so I remember to do this in future iteration. I'm going to actually add a comment here in my PDF. No, actually, I should be able to. I'll make sure I save that too. Okay. It says with that in place, we can update. Okay, so see, they do show us that down below, don't they? With that in place, we can update the index controller action to query the top 5. All right, so yeah, basically. So comment, excuse me, copy, and paste that into the index. And then they have you double check the code, which now should look like this. And it's at that spot. Right, I can actually delete. Yeah, I'm highlighting that. And then wherever my comment went. Can I delete it? There we go. Okay. All right. We're getting to a paragraph here that says, finally, very exciting, we'll need to update our home index view so that it can display a list of albums by updating the model type and adding the album list to the bottom. It says we'll take this opportunity to also add a heading and a promotion section to the page. So we're just, basically ramping it up. So we're going to go to the home index view, and we're adding some code. I am just going to replace everything here. I'm just going to delete that. I'm anticipating a little error with that first line because of how I named my project. But otherwise, this should be a pretty clean process. So for me, this is capital MVC underscore. Save it. Let's do the clean and build. Let's do clean. Let's do a build. Very good. All right. Oh, it's still underlining. All right, let's see if we can fix that. Notice it's asking for a little fix here. And actually, that shouldn't need to be the case. You guys didn't have to do that? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's clean it again. Good catch. So there it's fixed. Yes, you have to move the @ symbol. All right, you guys ready to run it? See the beautiful new homepage? Isn't it interesting, though, that it's like the homepage is like the last consideration, almost? Now, we really did get a chance to ramp it up now, didn't we? So they brought in some images. They have their top-selling albums listed here. A little thing at the bottom that says built with ASP MVC 3. And I believe we're done, folks. We have a successful application. All right, so essentially we're done and everything is working. I got a couple people that have issues here that we're going to clean up, but we'll call that a project for now.